Hi everyone. So I decided to make this video about the Phoenix Engineering speed control system, and I recently acquired that for my Lenco turntable. I would like to share with all of you out there how it's installed and how it actually works on a Lenco idler wheel turntable. To all of you my fellow Lenco users, we all know how dependable, how easy to operate, how easy to maintain, and how great the performance of this turntable is. And what I'm hoping is with the speed control system that I can make my turntable from being great to being excellent. Well, I'll continue this video and show you step by step how we install it. So here we have the speed control system, and it came in 3 separate boxes. First is for the RoadRunner digital turntable tachometer. I believe this can be a standalone unit where you can attach this to your turntable, and it will monitor and give you the reading of the speed that the turntable is running at. And the next box is for the Eagle power supply controller, and this is the brains behind the system because it's the one that controls the speed and regulates it on the fly. And the third box is for the Eagle power supply unit amplifier, and this one is rated specific to the country where I'm in at 230 volts, and it provides a maximum of 25 watts power that is designed specifically for Lenco idler wheel turntables. So I'll be opening up each box one by one, and let's see what's inside. First up, we have the RoadRunner digital tachometer, and that's the instructions manual for it. Here's the unit itself, which is very small. I'm surprised at how small it actually is compared to the photos and videos I see online. And that's the LCD panel, which will give out the speed reading. At the back we have the power supply input, a jack that will connect to the power supply controller or speed controller, and another jack for the sensor which attaches underneath our turntable, and an on and off switch. Now underneath we have some nice footers and our serial number, made in the USA. And here we have a male to male jack and a cable that goes to the power supply speed control unit. Another cable for the sensor, and this is the one that goes underneath our turntable. And there we have the magnet that we have to attach under the platter. And our power supply for this unit, obviously the tachometer, a wall wart. The next box is for the Eagle power supply speed control unit, and that's the instructions manual. And here's the unit itself, which is exactly the same size as the RoadRunner tachometer. At the front we have 3 buttons, one for increasing, decreasing the speed, and a standby button. At the back we have the jacks going to the RoadRunner tachometer, and another one going to the power supply unit itself. Comes along with the power supply cable that attaches to the PSU unit to our wall outlet, and another male-to-male cable going from our Eagle speed controller unit to the power supply unit. Third and last box is for the PSU unit itself, and this is a big one, heavy, well made, and we have in front the power outlet where I would assume we will be connecting the power supply or the cable of our turntables, and there's another jack going to the speed controller unit, and at the back that's a good heat sink and connection for its own power supply. And that power supply must be this one here. Yeah, so that will connect there, that jack, and that's where we attach the power cord that we earlier seen in the other box. Alright, so the first order of business is to install the sensor somewhere on our turntable, and also the magnet that will go underneath the platter. So basically this magnet needs to be passing over the sensor somewhere near the edge. But as you know, the platter of the Lenco comes very close to this surface here, so there's not enough clearance to put this sensor, so we will have to put it somewhere inside. And the cable, this is the cable for that sensor going to the RoadRunner. I have decided to pass it in this hole over the Lenco motor so that I can install this sensor somewhere away from the tone arm. So somewhere in this area I will be installing this sensor, and that cable goes underneath and goes out to a hole of my plinth. It's a solid wooden plinth. Moving on now to the installation of the sensor on the turntable, I have managed to find a way to lift this sensor with the use of these circle foam pads. It has an adhesive backing, and I got this from a hardware store before, and I used them actually as footers for some of my electronic equipment like hard disk drives to prevent vibration. And I stacked two of them, and that gave just about the right height so that this sensor and this Q1 will almost come in close contact with the magnet, because this is the sensor, this part, this Q1 part is actually what needs to come in close contact with the magnet. Now, according to Bill from Phoenix Engineering, we can install the magnet anywhere even close to the spindle if required. So we have a lot of leeway, a lot of space where to work with. So we can install that magnet anywhere in that distance, and also the sensor. Now I prefer, as I mentioned earlier, I want to install it as far away from the tone arm as possible. And so I will be affixing this lifter somewhere there, and then install the magnet underneath the platter so it will be at that approximate area where I will affix the sensor, and then put on the platter back on the turntable, and then have a go on the RoadRunner. Stay tuned. So installing the magnet on the underside of the platter, I had to use some adhesive foam tapes, and the one I currently have was quite thin, so I had to stack about 7 of them to reach this height, which I had to do trial and error so that it comes close to the sensor on the turntable. Anyway, this one is sufficient enough, and now I'll be putting the platter onto the turntable. So now that it's set up, let's see how it works. My Lenco is set at 33.33. Whoa. That's a bit far off. I have done the setting using Cab USA speed strobe, and that's the best that I could have done using that speed setter. Let's check on 45. So as you can see, that's half a step faster than 45. And we all know how difficult it is to adjust the speed manually on the Lenco, having only those screws to make very finite adjustments. Alright, so now we know. Next step will be to install the speed controller and plug my turntable in the power supply unit. Stay tuned. I have completed installing the Eagle PSU speed control unit, and I have attached that with the supplied cable to the RoadRunner tachometer, and also the other cable going down to the Eagle PSU amp, they call it, which is the main power supply unit that will give power to the Lenco motor. And then the original Lenco power cable goes to that Eagle PSU amp down on the floor. So now that it's installed, and installation was very quick, the instructions was straightforward and very easy to understand, we shall now try this speed control system. So to start with, I'll just press the standby button and wake up the Eagle PSU, and there we can see that it's at 33.3 RPM. The Lenco speed knob is also at 33 RPM, and I will switch it on. So within 3 to 5 seconds, we're already at 33.33. And it's stabilizing the speed. And that's real-time communication happening between the RoadRunner and the Eagle PSU, with the RoadRunner providing real-time speed information to the Eagle PSU and then the Eagle PSU compensates with what power to give the Lenco motor. Perfect. So that's pretty quick speed up of the platter, and now that we have seen that it has stabilized at 33.3, let's try it at 45 RPM. Now to switch to 45 RPM, it is as simple as just pressing the standby button on the Eagle PSU without the need to switch the speed control knob on the Lenco turntable. So let's try that. .45 RPM. So within 5 seconds we're already at 45 RPM. You can see the platter spinning constantly with good torque. Yep, we're already at 45 RPM. Again, that was very fast speed pickup on the platter, and the tachometer immediately showed us a 45 RPM reading. So that's pretty straightforward, and I'm actually impressed with how the RoadRunner and the Eagle PSU speed control unit is stabilizing the speed of my Lenco. If you can remember, my reading without the Eagle PSU was originally at around 45.5, 45.6, and now it's at a very constant RPM of 45. So that's a big improvement on my Lenco turntable, and I'm very happy with the result that I have achieved with this speed control system from Phoenix Engineering. So that wraps it up, and thank you for watching.